What is the secret behind this artificially elongated skull? Or how did this Malaysia Airlines plane vanish into thin air? All these questions and many more will be answered in this video. Today, we are going back 100 years and dissecting the scariest discoveries from every decade from 1920 to 2020. Welcome to the Century of Mysteries. From the ground, the Nazca lines in Peru may seem ordinary, but viewed from the air, they unveil a breathtaking spectacle. They are found in a region of Peru just over 200 miles southeast of Lima, near the modern town of Nazca. The lines are known as geoglyphs, drawings on the ground made by removing rocks and earth. There are over 800 straight lines, 300 geometric figures, and 70 animal and plant designs. Some straight lines run up to 30 miles, while others range from 50 to 1,200 feet, which is as large as the Empire State Building. Peruvian archaeologist Toribio Mejia Giuseppe was the first to study the lines systematically in 1926. However, since the lines are virtually impossible to identify from ground level, they were only first brought to public awareness with the advent of flight, by pilots flying commercial planes over Peru in the 1930s. Scientists believe most lines were made by the Nazca people, who flourished from around AD 1 to 700. However, the purpose behind these gigantic markings remains a puzzle, fueling conspiracy theories of extraterrestrial involvement and ancient astrology. For the next decade, we have a mysterious disappearance that changed the course of aviation history. In the 1930s, pioneering aviator Amelia Earhart embarked on a daring journey worldwide, accompanied by her navigator Fred Noonan. However, on July 2, 1937, during the flight segment over the vast expanse of the Pacific Ocean near Howland Island, something perplexing occurred. Earhart and Noonan lost radio contact with the U.S. Coast Guard and disappeared en route. President Franklin Roosevelt authorized a massive 2-week search for the pair, but they were never found. On January 5, 1939, Earhart and Noonan were declared lost at sea. The exact details of their disappearance and potential crash remained hidden until now. On January 27, 2024, Deep Sea Vision, an ocean exploration company based in South Carolina, announced that it captured compelling sonar images of what could be Amelia's aircraft at the bottom of the Pacific Ocean, roughly 5,000 meters under the surface. Tony Romeo, a former intelligence officer with the U.S. Air Force and the CEO of Deep Sea Vision, believes they have made a breakthrough. Romeo's team spotted this plane-shaped object between Australia and Hawaii, about 100 miles off Howland Island. Remember, Howland Island is where Earhart and Noonan were supposed to refuel but never arrived. The shape of the object in the sonar images closely resembles Amelia's aircraft, both in size and tail. Still, it is too soon to say whether the mystery perplexing researchers for 87 years has been solved. Further confirmation is required, and Deep Sea Vision plans to explore the site again this year. Next, we have the ancient mystery of the Kat Shabib, or the Great Wall of Jordan. It stretches approximately 93 miles and has captivated archaeologists. First reported by British diplomat Sir Alec Kirkbride in 1948, this stone wall was discovered during an airplane journey, its purpose unclear. Along the Kat Shabib, the archaeologists also found the remains of an estimated 100 so-called towers, measuring 2 to 4 meters in diameter. Some of the towers were constructed after the wall was built. Dating the wall proved challenging, with pottery found in the towers providing only clues. Current estimates suggest its construction occurred between the Nabatean and Umayyad periods. The mystery deepens as researchers contemplate who built the wall and why. While one of the ruling empires during the suggested time frame could have been responsible, there's a possibility that local communities, inspired by neighboring practices, independently constructed the wall. Now, let's step into the 1950s, a decade marked by significant historical movements, including the Cold War and the beginning of the Civil Rights Movement. Amidst these global events, an ancient mystery captivated researchers. In 1953, British archaeologist Kathleen Kenyon and her team unearthed a 9,000-year-old human skull discovered near the biblical city of Jericho. But what's so mysterious about this skull? The skull was decorated with plaster to recreate human faces and had shells as eyes. Experts called it the first facial reconstruction in the world. Finding out more about the person underneath the plaster was challenging. The soil packing inside the cranium meant little internal detail could be made out using conventional X-rays. Progress was made in 2016 when the British Museum released precise measurements of the Jericho skull based on a micro-CT. Studies indicated the skull belonged to a dark-haired male in his 30s or 40s, but there was something unusual about the skull discovered as well. The cranium, or upper skull, was significantly larger than average. In addition, the skull seemed to have been artificially elongated when the man was very young, probably by tightly binding it. Researchers and archaeologists have put forth various theories. Some suggest that it served as a ritualistic or ceremonial function, possibly connected to burial practices or ancestor worship. Next, we have one of the most mysterious structures in the Middle East. This ancient stone monument was first noticed from the air sometime after 1967. Archaeologists surveying Golan Heights, which is a piece of land sandwiched between Syria and Israel, saw 5 circles flowing inside each other. The outermost ring was a staggering 152 meters wide. Ground excavations determined it was 5,000 years old and a contemporary of the famous Stonehenge in England. Almost resembling a labyrinth, the Golan structure consists of small stacks of basalt rocks with a combined weight of over 40,000 tons. At the center rests a vast burial chamber, but apart from being a grave, it might have had some astrological purpose too. Researchers found that both annual solstices align with gaps in the walls. The purpose and origin of the structure remains unknown. The Terracotta Army is like a time capsule from ancient China, guarding the grand mausoleum of the first emperor, Shi Huangdi. Picture thousands of life-sized clay soldiers, horses, and chariots standing tall near Lishan in Shaanxi province. Discovered in 1974, this incredible army wasn't just a decoration, it was a guardian force for the emperor in the afterlife. These clay warriors aren't just statues, they're a peek into ancient Chinese warfare. Shi Huangdi, dreaming of immortality, made sure his army numbered over 7,000 warriors, 600 horses, and 100 chariots. Now, this terracotta army has immortalized him, at least in the history books. The mausoleum is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, though the inner tomb is yet to be uncovered. We are all aware of the tragic sinking of the RMS Titanic, but did you know when its wreckage was discovered? The profound moment came on September 1, 1985, when an American-French expedition led by oceanographer Robert Ballard uncovered the remains of the ill-fated ship. The sunken liner was about 400 miles east of Newfoundland in the North Atlantic, some 13,000 feet below the surface. The mission employed advanced technology, including remotely operated vehicles and sonar systems, to reveal the ship's resting place. The ship's body had split in two, but its features and interiors were remarkably well preserved. Hundreds of bits of debris were scattered in a 2-square-mile radius around the ship. The Titanic is now routinely explored, and several thousand artifacts have been recovered. In 1991, a peculiar burial practice caught the attention of archaeologists. Among 35 bodies in Northamptonshire, they found a man buried face down. Did the ritual hint at the possible disfavor from the community? Moreover, what truly puzzled experts was the man's mouth. His tongue had been amputated, and a flat rock took its place. This was a unique and previously unseen practice in archaeological records. The man, around 30 years old at the time of death, bore signs of an infected bone, suggesting the tongue removal occurred while he was alive. This unusual act raises questions about whether it was a new cultural practice or a form of punishment. Unlike known Roman laws, there is no historical record of tongue removal. The motive behind this distinct burial ritual remains a mystery, offering a glimpse into ancient customs that defy our current understanding of Roman-era practices. In 2003, on the Indonesian island of Flores, an astonishing discovery rewrote the story of human evolution. A team led by archaeologists Mike Morwood and Peter Brown announced the discovery of a 3-foot-tall hominin skeleton with an exceptionally small stature and skull. The species was called Homo floresiensis, nicknamed the Hobbit because it stood only about 3 feet 6 inches. The excavation also revealed stone tools and evidence of fire use, suggesting that Homo floresiensis was not only small in stature but also possessed advanced cognitive abilities. Although parts of its anatomy resembled those of very ancient humans, dating analysis puts the skeleton at about 18,000 years old. That means the seemingly primitive species lived at the same time as modern humans, which appeared about 200,000 years ago. In other words, the Hobbit appears to be the latest surviving human species, aside from our own. The discovery of the Hobbits of Flores reminds us of the surprises that can be hidden in the most unexpected corners of our planet. Over the years, aviation history has been marked by puzzling disappearances. Take, for instance, the case of Flight 19 in 1945, or the squadron of U.S. Navy planes that vanished in the Bermuda Triangle. One such incident occurred in 2014 when a Malaysia Airlines plane, Flight MH370, disappeared into thin air. The aircraft, carrying 239 people, disappeared during a routine flight from Kuala Lumpur to Beijing. It vanished from radar screens less than an hour after takeoff. Surprisingly, no distress signal or message was sent. Its last known location was over the southern Indian Ocean. Satellite data revealed faint electronic signals hours later, suggesting an extended flight path over the Indian Ocean. A massive international search effort ensued, but the wreckage was not found until years later. Beginning in 2015, pieces of wreckage were found washed ashore in Africa and on islands in the Indian Ocean. 3 years later, in 2018, the Malaysian government concluded that the change in flight path had been done manually from inside the plane, but why the plane disappeared remained a mystery. We hope you enjoyed this video of 100 years of discoveries. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.